Ever wonder why lifting a weight slowly can feel so much harder than lifting a weight quickly? Well, on today's Science Saturday, we're going to dive into the science behind internal fibre force and why it is vastly different from external force like weight on a bar. We'll unravel how your muscle fibres generate tension at the molecular level, how the material properties and alignment influence force, and how these forces trigger muscle growth. By the end of this video, you'll know how to optimise your resistance training for maximum hypertrophy. So let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to a Science Saturday. I'm Lockie, a final year sport and exercise science student at Oxford Brookes University. And in this video, we're diving into the difference between external muscle force and internal fibre force. If you've been lifting weights for a while, you've probably noticed that these slow controlled reps hit differently from the really fast explosive reps. But why is that? The secret lies behind how your muscles generate force, and it's not just about the weight on the bar or the pin in the machine. We'll look at how mechanical tension is produced inside your muscles, how your muscle fibre composition impacts strength, and how we can use this knowledge to tweak our training for maximum hypertrophy. So let's first address the basic misunderstanding that many lifters have. The external force from the weight you're lifting does not necessarily equate to internal muscle force. The weight on the bar, so the external force, is just the load, but how much force your muscles actually generate depends on internal fibre force. And here's why that matters. So when we lift heavy loads quickly, we produce high levels of external force. This is commonly calculated by force equals mass times acceleration. But that equation cannot be used for internal fibre force, and we'll get to that later. And because of that, that doesn't actually mean we're generating the same amount of internal force in the muscle fibres themselves. Because with fast reps, the actin-myosin cross bridges, which is the mechanisms behind muscle contraction, don't have enough time to fully engage. On the other hand, when we lift slowly or reach higher levels of mechanical tension, the actin-myosin cross bridges have longer time to fully engage. And it's this that increases the muscle fibre force. But here's the key point. The slowing of rep speed, especially in lower rep, high load training, doesn't always mean your muscle fibres are fatiguing directly. It's not just about the fibres tiring out, but about how your nervous system and motor units are managing the force produced. Your rep speed involuntarily reduces because as you approach task failure of an exercise, your body recruits more motor units, particularly high threshold motor units, which activate fast twitch fibres, which produce more force, but fatigue a lot quicker. So the slowing of a rep is a sign of maximum motor unit recruitment and high mechanical tension rather than the fibres fatiguing themselves. Right, so let's speak about how tension generation occurs at the cellular level with particular regard to the muscle fibres themselves. So muscles generate force primarily through actomyosin contraction, which is when the actin and myosin fibres in your muscle contract and form cross bridges. So the amount of internal tension produced by these cross bridges is our direct result of mechanical tension, which is the primary stimulus for hypertrophy. The more time these cross bridges are under tension, the greater force is produced, which is why external force does not always equal internal fibre force. Because let's say you look at a high jumper. They are doing extremely high force movement, but because the movement is so quick and so fast, there is a very short amount of time for actin-myosin cross bridges to form, which means there's a very minimal amount of mechanical tension produced. So you could even go as far as saying external muscle force and internal fibre force usually have a complete opposite relationship. So when there's high levels of external muscle force, there's probably low levels of internal fibre force. So when you lift a heavy load involuntarily slowly, your muscles experience more mechanical tension and by extension, greater internal fibre force. Conversely, when lifting quickly, you can produce a lot of external force, but the muscle fibres don't have as much time to generate tension, and therefore you aren't utilising them as efficiently for growth. Right, you should now understand what internal fibre force is, how it occurs, and why it's different from external muscle force. But now I'm going to show you what the role of fibre type composition is in internal fibre force production. If you're not quite sure what fibre composition is, it is the amount of types of fibres that comprise of a muscle. So certain muscles will have more fast twitch muscle fibres, which are more prone to growth. Other muscles might have less fast twitch muscle fibres, which will mean the muscle is less prone to growth. So fast twitch fibers type 2 have a greater capacity for force production, but fatigue much quicker than slow twitch fibers type 1, which are more endurance orientated, but can sustain contractions over longer periods. So fast twitch fibers meet maximum high threshold motor unit recruitment quicker, allowing for high force production during shorter sets, but they fatigue faster and require longer recovery times. This is why lower rep sets with heavy loads tend to activate fast twitch fibers and generate more internal force compared to higher rep sets. But on the other hand, slow twitch fibers require longer time under tension to recruit, but they're more fatigue resistant. That's why longer sets with moderate weights tend to emphasize slow twitch fiber recruitment. So now you should understand what muscle fiber types produce higher levels of force, but also what muscle fiber types are more resistant to fatigue. I'll do a separate video on how muscle fiber type composition can impact hypertrophy, but that was just a brief overview for this topic today. And let's get on to the final but probably the most important topic, and that is why involuntary reduction in rep tempo is extremely important for producing internal fiber force and mechanical tension. Now when I say involuntary reduction in rep tempo, I don't necessarily mean the difference in rep speed is massive when you compare your first rep and your 10th rep, for example, because you will experience a vast change in rep speed in a 10 rep set. But if you were to do a 5 rep set, where most of you should know that 5 reps are generally the most stimulating reps for hypertrophy, then reps probably won't be much different in speed. Yes, they will be slightly, but not much. So probably not to a point where you notice it and go, okay, my reps slowed down there. But them 2 sets will have the same amount of stimulating reps. It's just you had more reps beforehand in the 10 rep set than you did on the 5 rep set. So you're able to notice the reduction in rep tempo involuntarily more so for the 10 rep set than a 5 rep set. But generally speaking, as you approach task failure, your rep speed naturally slows. This is due to the increased mechanical tension placed on the muscle fibers and the activation of more motor units. Rep speed reduction is involuntary. It's a direct response to your nervous system's capacity to maintain higher motor unit recruitment and force production. But remember, slowing down reps doesn't always mean you've reached failure. For example, a low rep high load set, you'll notice that your rep speed is already slow from the start. The important thing here is that the force being generated, whether or not the reps are visibly slowing down, your muscles are still undergoing high internal fiber tension. So this might have been vastly confusing and you just watched this video for a bit of entertainment or a bit of education, but I'm going to give you a bit of a bottom line, what you should take from this video and how you should actually apply it to your training. So it's not necessarily about how fast or how slow your reps are. It's about how much tension is being produced within the muscle itself. Yes, that can be indicated by significantly slower reps, but having that as a primary focus won't necessarily allow you to produce more mechanical tension. But if you stick to the consistent program of doing potentially 4 to 10 reps per set and going 0 to 2 RIR every set, you will experience high levels of mechanical tension and thus an involuntary reduction in rep speed. So you should know by now that maximum internal fiber force, the key to hypertrophy, comes from mechanical tension. And you can maximize this with controlled reps, especially in low rep, high load situations. High threshold motor units are recruited under heavy loads, and the slowing of rep speed as you near failure isn't just about fiber fatigue. It's a sign you are generating sufficient amounts of mechanical tension within your muscle, which we all know is a key sign of hypertrophy. So to wrap up, muscle fiber recruitment and mechanical tension are the keys to muscle growth, not just external force. Rep speed slowing isn't always an indicator of failure, it's about motor unit recruitment and tension generation. Low rep high load training emphasizes fast twitch fiber activation and maximizes internal muscle force. Fiber composition matters. Fast twitch fibers reach high threshold motor unit recruitment quicker, but fatigue faster, while slow twitch fibers are more endurance oriented. And focusing on maximal motor unit recruitment and controlled reps is the best way to stimulate hypertrophy. Now go ahead and train smarter, not necessarily harder, with all this knowledge in mind. So have you noticed your rep speed slowing through a set? Or what's your take on mechanical tension and internal fibre force? Make sure to let me know in the comments. And if you want to take your training to the next level with personalised coaching and evidence-based programs, head to my website in the description, reshapept.co.uk, and I can build you a personalised science-backed program. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell icon to get notified every time you post, and be sure to smash the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video in particular. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.